What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to iStuff Gaming, and we're back at it again with another tier list. This time we're going to be going over the hunters. Now, before we get into the video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and without further ado, let's go ahead and get on the video. Now, this tier list is going to be a little bit different. As you can see, I added in another spot on the tier list. We got S, S minus, A, B, C, and then trash. Okay, because I felt as though like there's a lot of characters that are S, but there's some S's that are just above the rest. So let's go ahead and get on to the video. Now, first things first, let's go ahead and talk about Medusa. Cobb has seen his highs and he's seen there's been points where he's been top tiers, points low tiers, mid. I think as of right now, I think he's solid A. Right? Reason being is because it is a little bit of a struggle for him to get to level 3. It is the fact that he's very immobile, especially with his top tiers are now. So it's harder for him to fight back. And his ult, while being really strong, is a little bit outdated in my opinion. Having a cripple on a hunter is great, but the cripple is really not going to save you from anybody. But the reason why he's A tier is that he's an amazing 1v1 guy. Right? Plenty of damage. Slows, hit damage, and attack speed stim, which is really powerful. Has a movement speed stim, which is also really powerful. That does give him the benefit of having like a spot at all times. That's really good. And even though the cripple is a little bit outdated, the fact that it is a cripple, and the fact that if you hit somebody with it and then pick it back up, it's on 14-second cooldown instead, that's really amazing. So I think he's really solid. I don't think he's S. I don't think he really needs buffs. I think he's perfect where he's at. The only thing I could really say is maybe he's changing how his hives work a little bit, like being able to get it out earlier. Like turning, like what they did with Bacchus, make it to where he always has access to the hive, right? And he can put down a hive whenever he wants, but he doesn't get the added benefits from it until he points into it. I think that would be really good. Up next, we have On Her. On Her is S. I think he's top of the food. Right? CC immune ult, really good damage. Abuses the bow build really well. Protection, shred, stun, slow. That also gives him extra damage. Really good, really strong engagement tool with his 3. And a solid ult that's CC immune. His only issue to me is that well, he has 2 issues for real. His leap is really of an engagement tool rather than a tool. And then his ultimate, while being a really strong ultimate with CC immunity and can do a lot of damage, have to be able to hit every single shot. And realistically speaking, that might be a little bit difficult. But at the end of the day, On Her is definitely an S. Up next, we have Apollo. I think he's S-, right? Only reason why he's S- that his ult does come out very, even though it's an amazing team fighting ult. The meds on him is really strong and the damage is really good on him. His passive is okay. You have to be able to hit autos before passive. I do think that he suffers late game compared to other hunters that are in the S tier. Like, I think On Her completely launches Apollo in that late game, but Apollo is definitely still Artemis. Now Artemis now is competitors to one of the best hunters in the game. An attack speed stim that's amazing. The ultimate changes team fights. He has a slow and a right. Her only issue is that she's really mobile, but because the bow build is so potent and because of Silver Branch, this character shot up. I think she's definitely one of the top contenders. Up next, we have Kernunos. Kernunos, kind of near and dear to my heart. Really solid character. Really good with the bow build and the crit build. Stim that changes. Really a lot of flexibility with his life steal, protection, shred, extra power, and a slow. And a slow on a hunter without having to build Frostbound is very powerful. Especially on something like the bow build where you can just keep shooting. But where Kronos really struggles is that his kit is still just really aggressive early and mid, but the late game he does struggle a little bit. The ultimate is just okay. But because of his stim, because of that he does have, and the fact that his ult is a burner, I think very well A. Close to S, just like job. If any of these characters get nerfed, definitely A. Chernobog, S-. Mostly because of his attack speed stim. He has an Apollo ult, but it goes direct. Again, it's like Apollo though. Late game, he gotta dodge it, but because he has a stim, an attack speed stim, it gives him 80% attack speed, and you slap that on with the bow build, he hits absurdly hard. His only fallout is that his late game is just up next. Chiron, S tier, definitely up. Lots of his runaway tool, unlike on her, good for engaging and disengaging. He has a Zeus 2, which gives him free damage. He's one of the hardest hitting hunters in the game. He can give himself CC immunity with his 1, albeit he has to get rid of his clear to be able to do so. And his ult hits incredibly hard. Plus, it gives him a little bit of a get out of jail free card if you manage to kill some. If you manage to kill somebody with it. So, and the fact that he's one of the few hunters who can go Bluestone Transcendence and then build pseudo bow build after that and get the best of both worlds, essentially. I definitely think he's S. Stupid. S. Right? Stun, high damage, of ult that changes team fights. The heal, not really that great, but the fact that he has a heal is still really strong. And the attack speed stim that also doubles as a slow and your runaway move, or an engagement tool if you're trying to chase somebody down. Stupid is definitely S. Up next, we have Don Zaboro. A lot of people might not like me for this, but I think he's S-. I don't think he's S, but I think he's S-. Doesn't change the fact that he has a really strong ult. It doesn't change the fact that his 3 is really annoying to deal with. It doesn't change the fact that he has a taunt and really solid clear. My only issue with him is that the ult, while being really good, either it puts himself in harm's way, or the controlled or the non-controlled version where you just shoot it out can be really finicky. And plus, Mystic Mail and auto attack and people would take damage hard counter this god out of his 3. And despite having his 3, he actually has really big lack of mobility. I think he's definitely S-. No hunter with a taunt and that kind of an ult bad, but he's definitely S. Hachiman, solid A. Run-of-the-mill hunter, attack speed stim, good stun, but it's not really good for a runaway. Not really good for anything else other than. But he has a lot of safety. He has an ability that gives him longer range autos that do more damage. Really great poke. Really good ultimate that's good for kill confirming or for running. High amounts of safety. So definitely. Heimdallr. Heimdallr is one of those characters where you need to have an extensive knowledge of the game, and you need to know how to play around his teleports. If you don't know how to play with his teleports, he's going to be A, right? Because at the end of the day, he only has a slow in the knockup and the 1, which is good, but not not amazing, and then the ultimate, which really only affects one person. And if you get beads, you get punished. But if you have really good knowledge, if you know how to play with the teleports, because honestly, to play Heimdallr optimally, you need to know how to use his 3 rather than his 1 and his 2. If you know how to use that 3, you know how to manage you know how to hit all of your abilities, know how to set yourself up, set them up, he's S. Definitely S. But he's one of the harder hunters to use. So, take that with the... Yi. Really strong, but kind of flying under the radar, and I don't know why. His ultimate is really powerful. Has an on her leap that does a knock up if you have your mark on somebody, which by the way also marks invis characters, and you'll always track them as long on them. Plus they take extra damage for their missed health. So he also has a Kali passive in his. He has a Kali passive in it too. Top of the fact that he can't be crit. If he gets crit once, can't crit him again, which is for like what 3-4 seconds, which is really powerful. So and he has a stun. Only issues is that I really can't think of a lot of issues with, other than the fact that his leap can be baited and the fact that if he doesn't use that as an engagement tool, is kind of lacking as a distance. But everything else surrounding that is powerful. I think, right? Only reason being he's an S- is because the S tier is better than him. Any of them get nerfed, gotta jump. He's a Nami. B. Okay. For what she does, which is tower sieging and clearing waves, and I guess the silence is really good, but outside of her stem, she has one of the weakest hitting autos, even though they double hit. Her slow is kind of useless. It's long range, and you only get more bigger slow if you kill somebody with it, but in reality, you're really not going to be a lot. The invis is good. Give her the invis. But the silence is, even though it has a pretty wide radius, it doesn't really change a team fight in ways that you want. Really, all Izanami is really good for is the fact that she does benefit from the bow build, and the fact that she can seize towers really well because of the bow build. But other than that, I think all the other hunters are just other hunters that we mentioned before. I think she's B. Jingwei. I think she's bottom of A. I think Jingwei's bottom of A. Reason being is because she abuses the bow build really well. She has a AoE crit stem, which is really good. She's incredibly safe. And even though her clear is bad, you will always get to lane before you. So she can clear a wave, leave, come back, clear a wave, leave, come back, clear a wave, leave, come back. So she'll always have a way to out-farm you, even with her lack of clear. I think she's bottom of A. Mostly because the other characters are so weak. And she has a high skill. To be honest, she does have a bit of a skill. Medusa. Crash. Right. Hear me out. So if you play on console, when I played on console, I thought Medusa was at minimum A, well, at minimum B, at best A, right? Because she has poison autos that increase her attack speed, so that does give her benefit from the bow build, and the fact she has a root and the ultimate. The ultimate can change a team, right? Issues. Really can't clear that well. Her mid and late game is mediocre. And the ultimate is kind of bad when you really think about it, because all you have to do is, especially if you play on PC, all you have to do is rotate your camera, hit your back, and rotate back. The slow is annoying. I will give her that. The slow is annoying. But I wouldn't take her over literally anybody else. I'd rather take the Izanami than a Medusa. That's honestly, personally, that's just me. Neath. B. I think B. She does have good sustain. The ultimate is amazing for kill confirming, especially early, or setting up your teammates to get a kill, which is really good. The fact that she has a root, which is solid. The fact that she has self-sustain, which is good. Her biggest issue being her backflip, being that it's so predictable, and if she backflips and somebody sees that and they jump on you, you're basically dead. Neath is a solid beginner hunter, but I can't really see her being anything other than that, just a beginner hunter. Rama. S-. Attack speed stem, great clear, good damage, abuses the bow build, extra power, can shoot through walls, and then the ultimate, if you can hit your ultimate, his ultimate hits extremely hard and goes very far. I think that Rama doesn't has one of the worser ultimates, or the worser ultimate game. Not necessarily that's because it's bad, but because you can't get full benefit out of it unless you can hit every single. But other than that, everything else surrounding his kit is really strong, especially since he has a cripple that does extra damage, and then he can just keep blasting you, axe him. Definitely a solid S-. Gotti. Gottie's a lane bully. She can be really annoying to deal with if you don't have the correct gods to Alder can be really annoying, especially, and then you have her 4, which could be, again, in all honesty, Scotty's just annoying. Scotty, at the end of the day, all Scotty is right? A good Scotty player can run a game. I'm not gonna sit here and say that it won't, because I've had Scotty's, I've had enemy Scotty's completely decimate my team, even though everybody else on their team enough. But if you put a competent hunter, a player in front of her, and they have a better pick, Scotty can't really do anything. And plus, he gets no benefit from either the bow build or the crit build. So, B. Not necessarily closer to C, honestly, but B. Uller. Great 1v1 god. A nuker, right? We've all seen those good Uller players. The second they hit a stun and you don't have beads or Aegis, you are dead. Especially if they build right. Actually, surprisingly, a great jungler, and a great jungler and a good carry for ability based. But because he's mostly ability based, he's kind of outdated. So because of that, I think he's A now. Now he's A. If the bow build, crit build gets nerfed, or the ability build gets buffed, he would jump up to either S- or F. But because of where the meta is right now, he's A. Then finally we have Zaboro. Oh man, how the mighty have. Remember old Zaboro? And you remember that his ult, and his ult used to have a stun on it. And if you don't know, when he ulted, it's a global ult. Whenever he ulted, if you're moving while his ultimate ends, get stunned. And the only way to avoid it is to either beats or to stand completely still. And in a MOBA, standing still is dangerous. But then they reworked him. It took his stun away. It changed his passive to now whenever he does damage, he gets extra damage. But as a character right now, he's pretty poison has a slow DC immune, runaway move, and engagement tool. The 1 does do pretty decent damage, good passive, and the ultimate, while not being as great as it used to be, can still change a fight. I think he's A. Closer to bottom of A with Jingwei, but definitely. Now, last but not least, we're going to be talking about my top 2. And personally, I think it's just like that. Chiron. I think Chiron's number 1 and Artemis is number 2. Simply because Chiron has the kit to deal with Artemis. Chiron has a very powerful early game, and now with the bow build added to his own build, he's now much more of a menace. And he has better kill confirm. Plus, he has more safety than Artemis does. And then Artemis having that attack speed stim, that ultimate, and a root, and a slow. Artemis is definitely now probably the second best hunter. That's my tier list. If you like the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to debate with me on any of these placements, I am always up to a nice little conversation about who you think is where. But without further ado,